Hello everybody, good morning and welcome back to the Friday edition of Reaper Pro Tips with me, your host Anne, and Disembodied Hands Quindy, and maybe Justin and John, but maybe they took off early, who knows, it's the weekend, so how are you guys? Huh? What? Oh yes, no, not another repeat 36 months. So my back is a bit hurty today, guys, so I may only do an hour, just so you guys know. Gonna see how it feels. I did stretchies. I'll do more stretchies if I have to. Thoramel, swearing at all of us. It's Friday. Ah. Oh my. Oh. Yawns, yeah. I'm here. My brain is here. I promise. I'm just achy. I don't know what I did. What I did yesterday, but I need to do something else. Hey, Jedi Jared, with the 43 months owning everybody. Look at that. Insanely long. Thank you for the resub. Thank you for staying with us for so long. Well, I ain't gonna take the day off, just know, though my husband is taking the day off just to play WoW because he's almost level 70. Addict. Hashtag addict. Hashtag WoW addict. Yeah, I can do a bit, but I just don't want to do a whole hour and a half. I do enjoy my morning time with you guys. So let's see here what we got. That's right, we were using my middle mix. The middle mix, as I call it, the half tan skin and half rosy shadow, which gives you kind of a nice mixture between the two. Let me get those out. Uh-oh. Did I take my rosy shadow or my rosy skin to the other room? Am I screwed? Oh, noes. Oh, noes. Please, please, rosy skin, will you be here? There you are. But yeah, hashtag WoW addict for sure there, Quindy. I'll be okay as long as I can keep it. I may really concentrate on posture today, Grey Wolf. I probably should do that more often anyway. You know, let's face it. Alrighty here. And I have my brown, which we did not fill in, but we need to build anyway. Maybe I'll block in her hair. We know what color that is. That is Auburn Shadow. In the old days, Sophie's hair was the pro paint color called Aged Red Brick. And nowadays, if you have 9,000, oh boy, let's see. It would be a mahogany brown, actually. Let me see if I've got mahogany. Yeah, I do. All right, so let's go traditional then. Let's go traditional. So the difference between these colors, you can see it. Mahogany brown is darker and colder. It's more red. And Auburn Shadow is more warm. It's more of a natural red. Mahogany browns are more unnatural as far as hair colors go. But it is Sophie's hair color, so we'll do that. I just looked at her eyebrows and I'm like, I really want to block in those eyebrows. So I'm going to put her hair color down. Yeah, we all should concentrate on posture more. I know we all have terrible habits. Terrible habits. So I'm going to mix up my mahogany. So yes, for those looking for canon colors for Sophie, we're working with the canon colors as much as there is any. I mean, this is not the canon colors re-2D art because, of course, you know, Izzy is the one to dictate those. But these are the colors that I've always used to paint Sophie. And Sophie's colors have changed a little bit over time, you know, as Izzy's art has evolved. Yeah, we're really putting our lower backs through a lot, Grey Wolf. I mean, that's why I do so many exercises to strengthen my core, because if your core is strong, your body will put up with that a little bit better, but it's still going to, like, tax it eventually. And I have to cook tonight, so I really want to kind of take it easy for a lot of today so that I can... going to make Moroccan lamb meatballs tonight. That's the plan, anyway. I have to get to the store and pick up some cilantro. I I have trained myself to sit up straight when I'm playing computer games. That is one thing that I have successfully done. Mini painting is hard though because, you know, you're trying to leaning over to look at the mini, right? And you kind of want to do this. Yeah, I'm a fan of lamb. I'm a fan of especially African, Middle Eastern lamb because they put the cinnamon in it, and I love that. So it's a very tasty recipe. All right, let's get the hair on here. And we'll probably make, got a Mediterranean rice recipe that's chicken broth, bay leaf, slivered almonds, and raisins, and a couple other flavors. I can't remember what else goes into it, but we've got a. I'll use it for cauliflower. Oh, and a little bit of red wine. It's really tasty rice, and David will use real rice, and I'll use cauliflower rice for it. They'll use we'll use gluten-free panko. Pendrake. So it won't be it's not though, if you figure out like how much panko goes into each meatball, it's really not that many carbs per meatball, so I'm not too worried. And and they do make gluten-free panko, so I am able to stay gluten-free. All right, using my Reaper Zero here just to block this in. If I have to get really close around the face, I will switch to a finer brush. Hey there, Margaret, how's it going? We are painting, we're base coating hair, getting this, the Canon colors for Sophie. So yeah, this is a more red base, more red, more cold and bluish red base for hair. These days, Izzy typically paints Sophie's hair much lighter and brighter, more of a brighter red, but in the beginning, it was auburn. It was quite dark. And so we didn't have an auburn hair triad at that point, so I had to kind of make one up. There we go. Yeah, insane. I was going to say, we normally don't see a lot of you. But we're happy to see you, Margaret. Even if I'm not painting any dragons right now. I was painting a cat dragon a couple days ago in a Christmas tree. If you hear too much background noise from David's WoW in his Discord, I will go and ask him to turn it down. Yeah, your little one is smart. Fat makes things taste better. Cream sauce sounds awesome. Oh, yeah. David has a lot of vacation time, so he decided to take a day off just to play WoW. So that he could be at max level by the time his guild starts running dungeons this weekend. The new raid opens up, I think, next weekend. It's like 2 weeks after launch, the new raid opens up. I will not be with them. I will not have hit 70 by then. I may hit 70 a little further along. And then I will consider raiding. He loves his dairy, huh? Yeah, that was the opposite of me. I was lactose intolerant as a baby. They had a heck of a time with me, Agent Marvel. And I still hate milk. Although cream is different because cream doesn't have as much lactose in it, if I remember correctly. Because it's fat. It's just, you know, it's pretty much straight up fat. Lactose is the carb that's in milk, and I don't think cream has any carbs, so I think it's raiding is when you have to get together with a lot of other people to kill the big monsters, Pendrake. So it's like running a dungeon. So in WoW, you run a dungeon, and usually there are like 3 or 4 bosses in the dungeon, along with a bunch of you know, as we call them, trash mobs. And you can do a dungeon with 5 people. But for raiding, you have to have at least 10. And some guilds run with 20 or more. Used to be you had to have 40. That was insane. There are a lot more with raiding. There's a lot more mechanics that you have to do during a fight to keep the raid alive. Not for this guild, Socks, actually. The guild that we're in, and it's a casual guild, it's a casual raiding guild. They don't ever get, they get, ahead of the curve. So they usually complete all the raids on heroic, but they don't do mythic. They do mythic dungeons, but not mythic raiding. But yeah, Pendrick, so there's a lot more, as I call them, there's a lot more dance steps that you have to do to make the fight work right. So it's not just going and hurling your spells at the thing and keeping people alive. It's actually having to do mechanics as you do it. Yeah, it's I like it. The part of it that appeals to me, I hate dance steps. I've always been the slowest learner at some of that. But what I love is teamwork. Like, there's a part of me that just loves teamwork. And so it's the part of me that used to love being in choir because teamwork. And so raiding hits that same vibe for me. It's a group of like 15 people, and we're all like, working together to try to make things go. And these people are really laid back, and yeah, they're not like the best. Like, there's definitely some players that aren't the best in this guild because it's casual. But we have enough good people, and they're all fun people. They keep it light, and our raid leader is really chill. And so yeah, I mean, it takes this guild a while, but content gets gotten and gets defeated. So David talks every expansion about leaving this guild for something that's more stringent, more of a real quote unquote raiding guild. But the fact is, he wouldn't want to. He's persnickety about what times he can play. So this guild suits him because they do Friday and Saturday nights. So. But yeah, I like the people in the guild, so I might raid with them. I raided a little with them last time, but my back really, or my shoulder really started acting up, so I quit. So we'll see if I do it this time. I might try it. See the new content, especially because this is a dragon expansion, and my favorite old raid was Blackrock Mountain, which was a dragon raid. So I'm really excited to see the eyebrows. Kind of excited to see if the raids are cool. If there are dragons to fight. All right, so that's the kind of, and her skin tone's coming off as pretty pale on camera. It's actually a bit darker than that. Let me see. Maybe I want, no, that's going to bleach it out more. I want some white in camera. There we go. A little bit better. So her skin tone's actually a little darker than you think it is, but still pretty fair because redhead, right? Hey, Roger. But yeah, so I've just been playing the expansion. I got dragon riding last night, so that's kind of cool. It's nice to have something to ride around instead of having to like go through all those stupid steps to earn flying. And you can customize your dragon in this expansion. It's cool. It's cool. But yeah, other than that, Kiki actually sat and let David put her collar on this morning without being a dingo. Progress. Oh, this is the first time you've been on Mac Attack? Yeah, we talked a lot. If you want to listen to our remembrances or cry a little, we talked a lot about Ed on Monday. And then a bit on Tuesday at the end of the stream as well. And I made a post on my Patreon, but yes, he's a very, very unique person, very incredibly knowledgeable about the industry and had a great gut instinct for it, and he will be missed. Is already missed. But yeah, the announcement went up on Reaper, I think, this past Saturday night. Yeah, you don't actually capture them. You're cooperating with the dragons. There might be capturing dragons later on, but you actually you were actually taught dragon writing by the red dragonflight. And then you can, as you work through the various content, you unlock new dragons to ride. This is the ReaperCon Sophie from this year. Rhonda painted the official version. ReaperCon, Dungeoneer, Sophie, and it's 30090. So yes, I think she's still available. I think somebody said that. Your sympathies are on the side of the dragon, Seth Ormel. Yeah. Given like most of the gamers, I'm kind of with you, But I mean, you could take solace in the fact that the dragons kill the gamers the majority of the time. I don't remember. David gave me there's stats out there on this, but there are stats. Blizz has stats on how many failed attempts, like how many times players have been killed by X monster. And they did. I don't remember. They did an article on it a few years ago. And it was like players who have been killed by and think of the lowest level monster that you can think of. And it was a lot. Oh, I see. You're an evil GM. Okay, so this Sophie is general release. That's great. I'm going to get some of my other colors out. I want some brown liner because I need the line around what I do. We all know that is a habitual Anne thing, and I need to mix up her wing color as well, which is shield brown is pretty much where it's always been. Oops, that wrong color. Where did I put you, shield brown? Where did I put you? Oh no, no, no. I've eaten my shield brown apparently. Or I've stuffed it somewhere different. Ah, there it is. So shield brown has long been the color of the Sophie wings, or an equivalent. I don't remember if shield was originally a pro paint color. Something in my brain says it might have been. But the canon colors for Sophie, since these colors came out, have been pretty much shield brown as the base, and then some russet brown. Let me back up. Some russet brown mixed in for depth, and some brown liner. So it's a russet brown with shield brown and that, and then you go up to the main color, i.e. first highlight. That's the shadow color. Is the 9161 with bits of the skin color and the shadow color. So we'll be mixing up all of this. Oh, okay. Thank you, Quindy. I wonder when the memorial was. Can you send flowers? Do they have info? I haven't had to do this. I haven't. This is the first time. This is the first time I've lost someone close where I haven't been anywhere near able to come to the memorial. All right, and then we got our straight up. We're gonna do wings, skin, all sorts of stuff. We'll keep it. I guess we'll keep it a little tame here. I do want to get the wings blocked in though, the struts and the backs. I tend to do the undersides paler and the back sides brown, just like the struts. And I tend to, once we get past for these wings, once we get past the shield brown, I will bring it up with the skin color. So then it all kind of looks like it belongs to her. All right, and I need a drop of brown liner in there, and I need, there, all right, I think we're good. We're good for now. And I'm going to thin down, I'm going to go 2 to 1 on my brown liner. Because I want a more subtle line here. I don't want it too cartoony. I want it more of a shader. Funeral home has their own florist. I see. Okay. Well, maybe if they have their own florist, then we can order flowers through them. Alrighty, let's get this skin or this these wings blocked in. I love how neat. Now I did line around her face before and everything, so all this is nice and lined. And remember, that's why you want to line between the fingers to bring those out so that they're very neat, so you can see them very clearly. When you've got such a cleanly sculpted figure as this, it's a pleasure to do that sort of thing. I'm going to line first, and then I'm going to put my brown over the top. That way I can err in my lining. I can err on the side that I haven't painted. Yeah, just keep us posted, Quindy. I'm sure Quindy will keep us posted. Ah, there. All right, so I'm going to essentially come in from the side that isn't painted yet so that I can just push the tip of the brush along the edge of that skin. And that way it doesn't matter if the brown liner gets up on this strut here because I haven't painted the strut yet, so it's not a big deal. Mostly what I want to do is get that line in between the membrane and the strut, and so I'm not concerned otherwise, and so you can use that. That's why I wouldn't paint the strut first. If I painted the strut first, then I would have to come in and do a line like this, and I'd have to be a lot more precise about it. This way I can be messier about it, but still, get a good result. And so yeah, so you just utilize that strut as a way to keep your brush in line, and don't worry if you get dark paint on it. Since it's at the interior anyway, it's actually should be more of a shadow, so you're kind of underpainting as well. I think I'm going to be taking it a little easy today because of my back as well. And today will be a relaxing day. Gotta plan out my month in the Patreon anyway. Have some topics I need to look at to see what I would like to do. And I need to start assessing my new Chimera colors so that I can do a PDF on them. All right, let's get this other strut. Now they're getting really narrow and spindly. My walk actually helps my back, oddly. Although, yeah, her pulling has gotten a lot better. Her pulling is kind of a concern today. But I give her a short walk. She got a bit of short walk yesterday because it was so rainy. She didn't get her full morning walk. So we'll see. We'll see, Pendrake. I'll make the decision. I start out the same way either way, so I'll make the decision after we're down the first road whether I'm going to do the short version or the long version. But after kind of a cooped up day yesterday, she probably needs a little bit more. So now I'm taking the dark brown. I'm going to come up over all this. Everything is outlined nicely. You can see that that crisps up the areas as well. Now Kiki's got a new problem. Like, and this is the way that puppies evolve, right? You solve one problem, they stop biting you when you try to put their collar on, and then the next thing you know, they're trying to jump up on people you pass on the street. So that's the next challenge with Kiki. That hasn't actually like been a problem, Twisted Oma. I've trained enough dogs, and I don't actually require my dogs to be in a heel. I mean, the walk is for them also, right? And so I feel like if your dog is just at a heel, then they're not like being able to really enjoy the walk. So I just train my dogs to walk on a loose lead. They're not required to be next to me unless I use the with me command, or unless I decide to train my dogs in formal obedience, which I haven't really been doing for the last several dogs. Mostly I just want my dogs to be well behaved when we're out and about. I want to be able eventually to walk Kiki. I want to be able to take her to restaurant patios, with us. I want to be able to walk her down busy market streets and stuff like that, and take her to the ocean. I think she's almost ocean ready at this point. But it's just been a little, they go through phases. But yeah, I don't know if I'm going to teach her to formal heel. I mean, maybe because she has such drive, she probably could she could probably execute like a formal heel, no problem. If I've spent the time. It's just, as far as my training, I much more enjoy having just a generally well-behaved dog, and then I like doing trick training. So if I'm going to spend the time to teach my dog to do stuff, it's to do stuff like roll over and, yeah. But you do need to teach them to walk on a loose lead. And that's what we were doing with Kiki, but she's only 5 months old, so, it takes time. She's getting better and better. Depends on how many distractions. She was really overstimulated when we took our walk in the rain yesterday, and oh my gosh, that was a whole different ballgame, because oh my gosh, there were gutters with leaves in them. There was rain falling. There was, puddles. Oh my gosh. So yeah, she got a little bit over the top. And that's another thing with Kiki is she dials up very fast. So there comes a point where she's overstimulated, and her brain is no longer capable of engaging with you. Like, she's just crazy dog at that point. It's a challenge. So my next things with Kiki are going to be teaching her to dial down her arousal by working with her on some boundary games. So essentially teaching her to calm herself down by teaching her giving her a place to calm down, and teaching her to go there and to wait there, and that place is good. And then using that to essentially teach her to dial down her excitement. So every time she gets a little over the top, she goes to her mat, and then she dials it down. Hey, Tiff. Hey, Eyes Tiffany. It's nice to see you again. We're talking about training. I have a puppy, as you heard yesterday. So I've been having some training challenges with her. So we're trying to come up with stuff to do in games with her that help her to learn to dial down how excited she is all the time. She gets very excited very quickly. And then you can't train it. It's just like when it's just like I explained this to David this morning. It's like a human. I guess I don't have to be like extremely tight back here since I'm going to paint this whole thing in the same color. As I'm sitting here habitually painting neatly. Oh, yay. Oh yeah, people are pretty dog savvy in our neighborhood. We have a lot of very well behaved dogs in our neighborhood. Um, we have the rambunctious puppy, so. But right now Kiki doesn't want to meet people, or she does, but she wants to like ping pong at the end of her leash and be all flirty and playful with them. So that's another challenge we're having to work with. And then she wants to jump up on them when they turn around. So she's a work in progress. She has a puppy class this weekend. Here we go. So we're just I'm gonna back up because you don't need to see all that. But yeah, it's a work in progress with Kiki. She's just a bundle of energy. Now we have a flat area underneath these wings, as you can see, and I'm just painting it over brown right now. But I will probably be painting that in walnut because it's so thick. And it's really, you know, the wings are supposed to be thinner, but they have to cast, so you have to make them a certain amount of thick. And you don't want people necessarily looking at that space under the wings. So what you do then is you just paint it in dark. It sends a message to whoever's looking at your model that you know there's nothing to see here, and that usually the viewer's eye will glance right off of it. Working on succubus wings today for this lady. I just painted her hair. So we're going, this is Reaper's mascot, and I've been painting versions of her, for those who are new, I've been painting versions of her for many years. So I decided to paint this one kind of using my old Canon, like the color scheme I always used back when I was painting her more than anybody else was painting her. Once I started running the paint department at Reaper, I was no longer a staff painter, so they got other people to paint the Sophies. So that's our start. Oh no, painting the underside's fine. Like a lot of models have this kind of undercut or build up, Margaret, and it's very, I mean, the best painters in the world just paint it dark or paint it black. Some people may be persnickety enough to drill it out or file it down or make it thinner so that it isn't quite so chunky. But I would not consider this, I would still consider this a fine model for competition because it's otherwise so cleanly sculpted. And when you're looking at the model, you're typically looking at the model like straight on or from slightly above, and you're not really going to see those membranes. However, I did manage to paint some of my skin accidentally when I was blocking those in. So when I, let's see, are you dry? It's almost dry. So when you pop these wings in, and you just look at her, you don't see that, right? You don't see the chunk. Not till you get kind of toward the back, then you're going to kind of see it. And it's in shadow, right, where the light is, if the light's falling down your mini from the top, this is in shadow anyway. So that's why painting it dark, or painting it with your brown liner or your walnut or your black is fair. You're just painting it in shadow. Same goes for undersides of minis. Same goes for anything like this, the underside of this armor bit down here, the dark area. It's flat, and you just paint it dark. Because of the limits of casting processes, there's very few models out there that don't have some sort of like undercut like that. When I'm looking at models for competition, I'm much more looking at the quality of the overall sculpt and whether it's got parts that are going to fight me at all, that are not clear. This one's a little dicey because you, like, this one you can almost see from this angle, but this isn't one of her viewing angles either. So it probably will be fine. But yeah, if everything else is painted to a really nice level, T-Matt, and that's the only, but you've just blocked in the underside's dark on the things that are appropriate, nobody's going to call you on that. No judge I know of. Had to keep an eye on time because, as I mentioned at the start of the stream, my back is kind of hurting today. So I'm trying to keep it straight as I'm working on these things for you guys, but we might have to call it a little early today. Kiki will get her walk early. She'll be happy. And again, it's half and half tan skin and rosy skin to create this skin tone. I'm going to just make that real quick and touch up my winglets. Yeah, I mean, the fact is it's required for molding, right, for casting, that sort of thing. And so you're fine. Now, one thing that happens when you mix the tan skin and the rosy skin together is that the color overall gets lighter. And so you may actually need to shade. Whereas normally when I just use tan skin, it's dark enough that I don't need to really shade it. I can use it as the shadow and then I just add white to it to bring it up. But here we've lightened it with this rosy skin. And so this color is maybe needs a little bit of shading for you to bring out the details on fingers and face and everything. So keep in mind that at a certain point, like if you do paint dark to light, like I do on skin usually, there will come a point where as you're working on these fairer skin tones that the color you start with maybe isn't dark enough. There, block those in. Yep. Yes, just leave them black, leave them dark. Everybody, I paint them walnut. So let's actually bring up, now that I have a skin tone, I can mix a little bit of it into my shield brown mix. And I can bring up the highlights on these wings a little bit, show you guys how I do it. I do like to start with the struts, working dark to light on these struts though, just because it does make them really stand out from her wing membranes. Let's see if this is thin enough. Now, since I do want this shield brown to be kind of the base color of the wings, I am covering over a lot of my shadow. That's, I do that sometimes, Eyes Tiffany. More often, I start with a mid-tone and I work down, I shade it, and then I work back up and highlight it. But with some things, like skin, I tend to start darker and work up. This model, because I'm painting it like I used to paint, I guess, and I used to paint everything dark to light. Yes, start dark, work light. But over time, most of the models I do now, like this lady, for example, with her, I started with a mid-tone, and then I shaded it, and then I highlighted it on her surfaces. So it's my modern paint style is more start in the middle and then shadow and then highlight. But when I paint the way I used to, like when I used to paint Sophie's for Reaper, I'm just going to do a little dash stroke across these to bring a little bit of texture into there. Now here we have to be a little more careful because we're like going down the ridge of this. That's why I mixed up my skin color. I figured I'd have to touch up anyway. It does, Miss Imp, it does. Starting with the shadow helps you keep things dark that you want to be dark, though. So with this model, I want the struts to stand out, so starting dark makes sense for me. I want her hair to be a dark auburn, so starting dark with that makes sense to me. And with skin tones, I have a hard time shading skin tones on 28mm models, so starting dark and working light has always made more sense to me there. But everybody's got their own way of doing it, as we always discuss. Yeah, I know, Henrik. I'm just, I'm keeping an eye on the time. Don't worry about it. I'm going to bring this up again. If you try to remind me or prompt me, I actually don't respond well to that. Part of me is just like a little stubborn Anne who's just like, I'm going to keep going. So you should not ever. Quindy's allowed to remind me because she runs the stream. She's the boss of me. Bet you didn't know that, Quindy. Yeah, going light enough on the highlights. Yeah, I always say you should. You should highlight it till it looks good to you and then put 2 more highlights on it. Quindy is the boss of us all, yes. Yeah, I don't know. I'm one of those silly. I was one of those little kids who if you let me just do things, I would get there, but if you tried to prompt me to do things, I would dig in my heels, and I'm afraid as an adult that has only gotten worse. But yes, I am already monitoring myself, so there's no need to monitor me. I'm paying attention to how my back feels. I am actually making an effort to keep it straighter in the chair. Thank you for the concern. And I was a pain in the butt little kid, by the way, in case you can't tell from that description. There are people like us, Buds. There are people like us, yes, the people who kind of dig in their heels and want to do it their own way and who don't want to be reminded, And it's different if I'm forgotten, if I'm not keeping an eye on things, but I'm definitely keeping an eye on how I feel today. So, but yeah. Some people, that's us people. And we tend to be very individual, and we tend to be very, that personality type also tends to be kind of loner. And wants to be responsible for itself and is very conscious of the ways that make it different. That's what I've learned from kind of studying my own psychology. But yeah. Yeah, you want to do things your own way. Yeah, exactly, right? Really different. Far more different than we realize, Max, sometimes. Because, we have enough in common, that it's easy to think, oh, that person, blah, blah, blah. And then you're like, oh, they're not thinking like that at all. What the heck, It's like people who, another example is people who, when they have a question, they immediately run to the internet to look it up. And then there are people who are just like, why would you even do that? Who cares? and when one of those people meets one of the internet people are like, how can you not? But it's just the way you are, right? It's just the way your brain functions. Some people want the input, right? Some people want that information, and they'll prioritize it. And other people don't prioritize information. Maybe they prioritize a different thing. Maybe they're more personal connection. They would rather ask somebody, actually ask a person, if the question is even important to them, right? So we are all very, very different in the way that we process information and the way we ideally function, right? And that's true in your painting hobby and in your general life. Yeah, somewhat, but I mean, personality, like the basics of your personality traits are pretty ingrained, Max, once you're at a certain age. Quindy. Yeah, everyone processes differently. Yep. Everyone processes and prioritizes differently. And some people, we've talked about this before, where mini painters, there are mini painters who just want to sit down and paint, and mini painters who want to plan, and mini painters who paint really slow because they're taking their time and figuring it out as they go along, right? So there are many different styles of painter as well. And that's before you even consider like what paint line you use, what brushes you like, what brush strokes and techniques you prefer, what palette you prefer. I used to love to analyze different people's paint styles and really try to understand what made them different. There, so now we're bringing up those highlights. Right. You love having it at your fingertips and you'd rather not, like you probably, that's how I am, Miss Dimp, like when I took my little personality test. I have like, out of my top 10, out of my top 10 like skills or abilities, like 5 of them were in strategic thinking. And that was like, there's only 2 strategic thinking things that I don't have in my top 10. And when you're a thinker, that tends to be, you tend to act that way. You tend not to reach out for a person. You tend to reach out just on your own independently to figure out the thing, right? And the way that shows up in my mini painting is that if I have a question about a technique or something, I'm actually not going to go to the internet and watch a video. I'm going to try to figure out how they did it just myself. The exceptions are if I take a class, because part of me also loves to learn, right? I'm also a learner. And so I will take classes and then I will absorb the other person's methodology and see if any of it works for me. But if I just have if I'm like, I want to try to do, OSL using green over something I haven't done before, I'll just do it. I'll just try to figure it out on my own. You think too much if you're painting for yourself. Yeah. Have you taken the Clifton Strengths Test, Zachariah? In your various professional lives, I don't know if any of the companies you've worked for have had you take it. I've gotten into it in the past half of a year. I took it right before my birthday this year, and it's really interesting and really enlightening. And I'm using it to figure out how to work more effectively, how to be a more productive Anne, how to get more out of my superpowers. It does cost money to take, but it's really interesting. Essentially, the idea is that you can make more progress playing to your strengths than you can trying to shore up your weaknesses. So it figures out what your strengths are and gives you the info. And then there are a lot of videos online where they talk about both Gallup and other people have videos where they talk about the various strengths. So I'm just going to start bringing in some of this color that I just used as a highlight as a shadow on the wings. Yeah, Clifton is different. I've taken a lot of those personality tests too, and I like Enneagram and all that. I never remember them, but Clifton Strengths, for some reason, that one really hit my brain and was like, hey, this is it. This is the thing. Maybe it's because it's it goes into more detail about how you can actually utilize. And I like the emphasis on, its emphasis isn't on this is who you are. Its emphasis is on here are the things you should concentrate on if you really want to get to be the best you. And that appeals to me, right? That's totally my jazz. Not everybody's, but my jazz. So I think that's why I really love this and why I'm getting into it. So I'm going to blend a little bit with the skin tone. Glaze a little bit. And bring in these, because if you look, there's patterns, see? There's definite streaks here. So I'm going to bring in the wrinkles more toward the top and toward the sides. Right, exactly. So you're maximizing your you time, right, Max? Yeah, yeah, and that's totally a thing. Like, yeah, if it's something that I have to fix, I will go to the interwebs. You're right. Well, that reminds me, I need to go to the New York Times cooking section and see what tasty foods they have. I keep forgetting that I actually subscribe to their cooking section, which is really really good, and they've got to have a bunch of holiday recipes that are just kick butt. So I just painted a little bit of skin tone over just the inner side of all those little lines, so I can blend them in a little bit more. So I'm not actually going to just paint each of these little sculpted lines. I'm actually just going to leave the middle skin colored, but I'm going to suggest them by bringing in the side. Yo, Jelly. No, that is not. This test, the strengths test, is it's pretty exhaustive. You take it online. You have to take it all in one go. You cannot stop. If you hesitate too long, this question goes away. So it's trying to get you, it really is forcing you to pick like your gut, you know. And it has 34 strengths in 4 different categories that it'll give you your top 5 if you just pay for the basic test. I actually paid to upgrade to get my full 34 because I was interested in my top 10. Your top 5 are really your superpowers, like the strengths where if you really cultivate them, you could go really far with them. And then, you know, your top 10, you're still pretty good. I can definitely see, like, up to my top 15 or so, my top half, I can see how those strengths are really part of my personality. And I can see how I'm very low on, like, there are influencer strengths. I'm really low on influencer, which is funny because I'm on the internet doing Twitch streaming. Ha ha. But this is an educational stream, so, you know, it's not like I'm telling you guys to buy the latest, doodad from X Fashion Company. I'm not that type, like, a person. Some people are really good at that. Like, people instinctually just want to, like, take their word for things. Like, they're very, trustworthy. I can say things about paint and back it up with, like, I'm good because I back it up with my knowledge, right? But yeah, I'm not an influencer per se. It's not my kind of thing. Oh, man. See, like, and that's terrible, Thormel, because your boss did not listen to the brief or did not read the brief. Because the thing about the Gallup test is you take it once and then you should never take it a second time. It's less accurate the more you take it. I just had a strengths coach is pretty much say that after somebody asked if they should take it again, but it's always on record in Gallup, so you should never have to take it another time. So your boss missed the memo. Because it's a thing that people do, right? But yeah, you also have to pay attention to I wonder if your boss see yeah. I mean, yeah, you are supposed to be able to build work groups, but I think you have to understand the test pretty well to build work groups functionally with that. And then you've got to just pay attention to the people in front of you, right? Like, okay, Gallup is great and it's a test, but just because you've got somebody who's strategic doesn't mean they're going to get along with somebody who's activator. Even though they need that person, like maybe to get stuff done, maybe those people can't stand each other, right? Right, yeah. So maybe very not as socially geared. Yeah, you could definitely, I could see how you could definitely have a blind spot if you only looked at that and nothing else. Because, yeah, any tool, any test, we talk about this in painting all the time. Any tool is just a tool. You take that and you slot it into your life in the way that works, and that's the key, right? If it doesn't work, you don't slot it in. And you have to have enough of you have to understand, it sounds like your boss was treating the test like a magic bullet. Like, this is going to magically make everything work better. But it's not going to do that, right? You have to, find the way that it works. Everybody wants the magic bullet. Like, everybody just wants the one thing that will, make everything, twice as productive and easier and you know, magically do half the work for you and all that stuff, like humans. I want to bring in a little bit of a glaze here. I'm going to make a glaze out of my brown. I want to be targeted glaze. And now it is about an hour after I started. So I'm going to do this targeted glaze, and then I think I'm going to I'm going to call it. Yeah, you have to, yeah, because I mean, the data is really valuable, but I mean, I've been like, I ordered my Clifton strengths test in June, and only now in December, after being obsessed with this thing for like 6 months, am I starting to kind of grok how it all works. Like, and how I can use it. I'm going to glaze the brown on the top here. I'm going to grab a little water and blend that in. When you do a glaze and you don't want to put it over the whole thing, you can grab some water if you do it quickly and just kind of spread it out and get it to blend. Do a little bit more over there. I probably have my brown a little bit thick, and I probably should have made it a little bit more blendy. Yeah, that's working. But yeah, it's like you're not just dealing, I mean, it's great to deal with the numbers and to know them, but it's also, you got to deal with the people in front of you, right? I can see how people would use that test to do team building, but for me, I just want to get better. Like I want to make sure I'm playing to my strengths, right? Especially starting a new career, trying to like get my books published and everything. I really want to make sure that I'm doing everything I can to make it easier for myself by playing to the things that do come naturally to me, like right, just to strengthen those things. And one thing, I mentioned this before, one thing it has taught me is that I need a lot more alone thinking time. Like I had slowly kind of scheduled myself out of my alone time, and was definitely not optimal. I think the pandemic, you know, it was hard to get alone time during the pandemic because I lived with David for most of it. So I've gotten a little bit of glazing to just bring in a little bit of this pattern, like so. And then I'll come in with highlights as well. I want to shade this down, and I'll pop this out. Yeah, I usually do my thinking time when I take my walk, Zachary. I find that that helps with any worries that I've got, because physical activity is nice for that for me. I take my walk and I think. And sometimes my brain just wants to run in circles on, you know, worrying about Kiki and her latest behavior problem, but if I can get past that, usually I can get some nice thinking time in. Yeah, a little bit more glazing, just essentially bringing it up. But yeah, so that's kind of where we're started, and then I'll bring up more highlights, and I'll probably, yeah, I used to treadmill. That's even more brain numbing. Yeah, influence their own work efforts. Yeah, understand the workforce better, and not a tool to like reorg. You can like do like team building with it, but yeah, you have to look at the people too. Because the problem is it's complicated. It isn't as easy as this person is a number one activator, and this person is a number one strategic, and this person is a number one intellection, and so I have to put those people together so that I can get the best of all the worlds, because those people are not just that one strength. They've also might have strengths that clash badly and would lead to, you know, like tendencies that maybe communication ways that would clash badly, right? So you've got to look at the whole person. You look at the individual things, but you also look at the whole person, which is really hard. Eating soup out of cans. You're funny, Trash. You have strengths. Everybody's got strengths, but they might not be obvious ones. Like, I wouldn't have thought that my tendency to, like, sit and think alone for a long time was a strength, but guess what? It is, and it actually is a strength for writing. It's a huge strength for writing. Oh no, where's my knife? There it is. I need to trim a little tiny bit of flash off of this wing. Yeah, that's why a good manager is hard to find. Yeah, it is. It is. It's why I like, I kind of feel like management teams are better. Like if you could just get, because you know, it'd be nice if you've got the people person and the organization person and the motivator person, right? And all those things are usually not in one person. That would make a good manager, right? It's rare for those things to be all in one person. But then, you know, that's more manpower assigned to each group of employees, and so companies don't want to do that. They want one person to do everything. Just darkening this down a bit here. All right. Like I said, everybody's looking for the magic pill. Everybody just wants, what is the easiest, cheapest way that I can get all the things I want, right? Prep for soup can buildings. Right, or one person of 5 or 6 people's worth of everything. Exactly, which is classic corporation. We don't have the money to hire more people, so you all have to do 4 jobs. Yeah. Been there. Been in corporate America, never going back. Thank you, everybody who funds my Patreon. You've saved me from corporate America. I love you. All right, everybody, that's where we're gonna stop. But you can see kind of my thing that I'm doing and how we're progressing here. Oh yes, and there's Quindy with my stuff. If you like my teaching style, if you like the way I like think and execute, then by all means come over to my Patreon, take a look at it. It does keep me going in the most literal way, and I love it. And I'm excited to plan my content for December. Yeah, my back's just, it gets a little achy. I've just got, I've got back degeneration. That stuff you get when you've worked in a paint department lifting 50-pound buckets of paint for 17 years. I've got that thing, So it just happens. But yes, it's time to take the puppy for a walk, and it's a nice sunny day out today, so we shall have fun. Oh, and on Monday, we are to Genie, I believe. We are to Genie. We're back to Genie. So yeah, on Monday we will be back on this guy. We were working on his the coral color, which I think is coming out real nice. I'd like to get it done on the other areas. So we'll probably keep working on the coral because I'm really enjoying it. And yeah, exactly, Sagebrush. Yeah, I'm looking for a writing community and maybe a writing coach eventually. We'll see. But yeah, finding the one that works for you, right? It's definitely important. All right, thanks everybody, and I hope you have a lovely weekend. And I'll probably, if my back's a little better, I'll be streaming tomorrow on my own Twitch channel, twitch.tv/paintingbig. Go over and give me a follow, and I will be on probably around 3:30 p.m. USA Central Time. All right, see you then, guys. Bye-bye.